Hi, my name is Josie, and I'm one of the registered dietitians at Lifestyle Medicine. In this mini course, you are going to learn what a whole food plant based diet is and what it is not. This is to help you understand the prescriptive diet we recommend to prevent, treat, and even reverse a number of chronic conditions, reduce inflammation, and help support with weight loss efforts. When you come to the live version of Intro to Whole Food Plant Based, you'll be provided more information on the description around a whole food plant based diet, but also you'll learn about the benefits of a whole food plant based diet, discuss frequently asked questions surrounding plant based nutrition. You'll be provided with resources and put your current diet to the test. So stay tuned for that. So let's define what a whole food plant based diet actually is. A whole food plant based diet is one that maximizes the intake of whole plant foods while minimizing the intake of the more processed and animal derived foods. So, whole plant foods or foods as grown are fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, chickpeas, split peas, lentils, mushrooms, herbs and spices, and nuts and seeds. While the meat, and this includes chicken and fish on top of red meat, pork, all of those, dairy products, eggs, and highly refined processed foods that have all the refined bleached flour, refined sugars, added oils, all the extra sodium, those foods are minimized. And I want to point out that I am using the words maximize and minimize. This isn't an all or nothing approach, and everyone's journey in plant based eating is going to look a little bit different. But how I kind of explain this to people is most people right now in the US build their meals around a piece of protein for the most part. It's is it chicken tonight? Are we having burgers, steak? And then vegetables or some of these plant foods are thought of as a side dish or maybe a garnish that's happening on this in a smaller amount. But what we want to do is flip that, where most of our plate is coming from these vegetables, grains, beans. You make a nice dish with that. And if you are having animal protein, it's in lesser amounts. You think of it as like the garnish or the side dish on top of all of these wonderful plant foods. And then we're working on trying to utilize and rely less on processed foods and cook more often from scratch. A whole food plant based diet is often mistaken as a vegan diet, but they are not the same. A vegan diet is one that strictly avoids any animal products, such as meat, dairy, eggs, and seafood. And that's it. And that's the only parameters placed on the diet. A vegan diet can still contain a lot of processed foods that are high in oils, added fats, refined sugar, salt, etc. French fries are vegan. Potato chips, Oreos, soda, and candy are all technically vegan, not containing any animal products. There are plenty of highly processed foods that are also vegan, and a vegan diet isn't necessarily a health promoting dietary pattern. A whole food plant based diet, on the other hand, encourages avoiding, yes, animal products too, but also avoiding the highly processed foods while emphasizing the healthy foods you do eat, the fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds. I love this image of the two plates. I think it's a powerful example of the differences between a vegan diet and a plant-based diet. The plate on the left is vegan. You see vegan mac and cheese, a vegan cookie, French fries. There's actually a little bit of broccoli. But to figure out what's in most of these foods, you'll need to read an ingredients label or list. While the dish on the right, you can pretty well look at and identify what's in it. You can see there's black beans, sweet potato, avocado, tomato, red onions, quinoa, pistachios, and some lettuce. And that's what we want to aim for, these foods that are in their more natural, whole state. So this leads me to the eating continuum. And I want you to remember this as you're making changes to your diet. I think it's a practical way to think about making dietary changes because it is a continuum or a spectrum, and it's not going to be perfect every single day, especially as you get started. But that's the way to approach this. It's recognizing what is the optimal dietary pattern or the North Star, so to speak, and what changes can you realistically make. Where do you want your health? How dramatic of changes would you like to see to your health, while also being realistic about the dietary changes you are actually able to make? As we know, the populations of people around the world that have the poorest health outcomes, the most chronic disease, the highest rates of obesity, and actually are expected to live shorter lives despite medical advancements due to chronic disease related illnesses, These nations, such as the United States, parts of Europe, Mexico, the dietary pattern of these people that have the poorest health eat the standard American diet, a diet that's high in meat, dairy, eggs, lots of processed food, excess alcohol, and excess sugar sweetened beverages. And then on the flip side of that, people that have superior health, the best health outcomes, those blue zones that we were talking about in previous modules, these regions where people live the longest to 90, 100, past 100, have the lowest rates of chronic disease and the healthiest body weights. The dietary pattern of these people, the staple of their diet is a whole food plant-based diet. They eat lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, and drink water as their beverage. So let's look at some examples of breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks along the continuum. So on the far left, kind of the standard American diet, example for breakfast is fast food, something convenient like you can see here. For lunch, you've got this boxed lunch with a sandwich with some deli meat on there, chips and a cookie and a soda. And then for dinner, as an example, a burger and fries and a soda, and ice cream as a snack or dessert. And then in the middle, or maybe even a little bit right of the middle, you've got scrambled eggs for breakfast, but there's vegetables in there. You've got some tomatoes and peppers, and you could load even more in there. Also noting it's home cooked. And then for lunch, you've switched from a wheat or a white bread to a whole wheat bread with tuna salad on there instead of deli meat, and fruit as the side instead of chips and a cookie and soda. And then the dinner swap, instead of the burger, you've got this really healthy looking plate, a nice piece of salmon, there's some noodles, half of the plate is fruits and vegetables with a side of low fat milk. And then for dessert or snack, some low fat Greek yogurt with fresh fruit. And as you move all the way to the far right, examples of a breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a whole food plant-based diet. For breakfast, you have a nice bowl of oatmeal with some blueberries, banana, some chia seed and walnuts on there, a very, very filling, hearty breakfast. For lunch, a nice colorful salad with variety of different veggies. There's even a little fruit on there with the pomegranate. And for dinner, fajita style veggies with some black beans, and that grain there is called bulgur. And the best snack or dessert, fresh fruit. So as you're moving towards this far right side of the continuum, think about what transitions you can make. For a lot of people, breakfast is an easy one where they can replace and find healthier alternatives by going to an oatmeal or a smoothie in the morning and preparing that ahead of time. Or with lunch, maybe that's an easy swap for you. Or maybe it's the snacks. You go from the chips and the cookie or ice cream to having more fruits and vegetables as a snack. It's just about making moves and knowing what the optimal is and trying to find ways to get there. And in the following module, we're going to talk about more tips and tricks to get you closer to this optimal eating pattern.